about the meaning of life. The mission of man in the world comes down to the following: to be able to love, to be able to create and keep the initial light in the soul, which should increase its brightness over the years. But the free choice of the soul in most cases leads to a dark jail, in which the soul falls asleep and dies, as the light that went out means spiritual death. The melody of the soul, its special vibration, is replaced by another one sung by Satan, and the dark vibrations of dying souls emanating from earth change the universe. For human souls are unique reactors. They are able to give good energy to heaven, but in this case have nothing but obscure and dark energies to offer. The Lord grieves for these souls, but cannot turn them to the light, for unless they have faith, it is useless. Faith is a gift from heaven, and all those who reject faith are depriving themselves of a miracle. Here is a parable about it. A fir tree did not want to depend on rain, and its roots began to grow deep into the ground instead of stretching sideways at a shallow depth. But the rain saturated the ground and the fir tree collapsed, for it did not have support. "My dear," the Lord said to the fir tree, "there is no need to invent something contradictory to your nature. Otherwise it will bring death upon you. I had thought carefully while creating you, and now your self-will killed you." It is the same with people. Their unwillingness to strive to the light, meaning to do what is commanded to them by the Lord, leads them to their death. The Lord has put sparks of the great light inside us, so that we do not turn into prisoners of darkness. But this is what happens. Without understanding that there is a ray encased in the shells of heavenly energy inside us, without knowing that this ray should return to the Lord more powerful, we aspire to petty aims, lessening the great ray. How can we make this great impulse more powerful within us, and thus fulfill our life mission? By directing our souls and thoughts to the heavenly powers of light, doing no evil consciously, rejecting lies and hatred, envy and despair. These negative vibrations extinguish the divine high frequency in us. Apart from this, having directed their great love to our Father which is in heaven, people would be able to receive from Him an extra impulse of high energy that would make them stronger. So we are cutting off the arm that feeds us. Our thoughts are dark and void. So the forces that correspond to our thoughts and are attracted by them to us do not allow the light to illuminate our souls. Now, we should make a tremendous effort to get rid of these pernicious shackles, and we should decide to make this effort ourselves without the help of the Lord, for a dense shroud of darkness which has enveloped the soul can be destroyed only from inside, not outside. In the middle of the field there was an oak. It was tall and powerful. It had lived long in the world, and now the time had come for it to die. It thought, "What have I done to deserve the Lord's love? I scattered acorns which became my sons. I gave shelter to birds and squirrels on my branches. Sometimes people rested in my shadow, and that is all. I have done so little in my long life. It is so sad to realize that." And the Lord said to the dying oak, "Do not grieve, oak. You have lived your life not in vain. That small but necessary work that you regularly did is already a good result. But you are pondering over how to become worthy of my love, and the fact that you feel sorry you have managed so little is already worth much. The mission of an oak is to be an oak, but not a man, and the thoughts which have come to you are those of a man. Unfortunately, few people think the same way. On the contrary, more often they die like ordinary oaks without such thoughts. Not to spend your life stupidly, to ignite the divine spark given you at birth, means to live up to the expectations vested in you by the Lord. It is difficult. The soul aspires to the light, for it is made of this light but fails to see it on earth. And, in the course of time, it forgets about its mission to strive to the light, for it acquires an impenetrable shell which consists of low-energy rays. And this dark cocoon extinguishes its aspiration for the light, for similar things attract their own kind. And what does a dark soul strive to? And yet the divine spark smolders in each of us, and it is, though sometimes barely perceptible, unquenchable, no matter how dense the cover of darkness hiding it would be. And that is why an unbearable terror will envelop a departed soul, when in anticipation of terrible torments, it realizes how imperfect it has been, how far off the path to perfection it has strayed. So make your soul a source of forthcoming happiness, but not the source of inescapable terror and remorse. Do not let your spiritual light die in the sea of life circumstances usually sent by Satan for the redemption of the soul's light. Do not let your own soul circumvent the arduous work of spiritual ascent. Here is a parable about it. A duck decided not to fly away to warm countries for winter because it was offered a place to stay in a farmyard. It agreed, and its wings were clipped. There came the time when the duck was brought into the kitchen, and it could not understand why. "You will go into the soup," the cook told it. "Do not kill me," pleaded the duck. "Why did you stay then?" The cook was surprised. "To live in the backyard and not waste energy on long and dangerous flights," said the duck. The cook smiled. "I cannot leave you alive. You did not want to waste any energy on a flight, and I do not want to waste any on catching another duck." The moral of the parable is that each should follow the commandment of the Lord, to overcome the trials of life with stoicism. Your choice of an easy way always leads to disastrous results, as it did with the duck. Failing to follow God's command, do not complain that you did not know what you were doing. The Lord cannot believe it, for choosing is your constant work, and it determines your fate forever. Finding the right path in life is so painful for everybody, because the world, which has become as such by people's will, does not provide any confirmation of God's existence and His presence in our lives. But that is a deception of the soul. The source of this deception is the surprisingly sophisticated spirit of evil, whom we generously nourish with our low vibrations. Yet the soul that is within us cannot accept the absence of the light. It is looking for the light wherever possible, and therefore do not prevent it from searching. Do not remind yourself constantly, "I am an adult, a rational person. Why do I have a lump in my throat, feeling? And why do tears appear in my eyes at the sight of the beauty of the world? When I look at the clear face of a child, at a baby of an animal or a bird? Why am I so worried by reading some poems, or listening to music, or looking at the canvas of an artist? Why do I feel so good when I am working in the garden, or building a beautiful house, and watching how my patient is recovering, or my pupil has surpassed me in skill. This happens precisely because your soul rejoices inside you, for it has an understanding of how God manifests himself. Something beautiful impresses you if your soul has not been smeared with earthly sins, for it is the manifestation of God in the world. Does the result of inspired and hard work bring joy to you? It is a feeling inherent in the Lord, and you have inherited it. Seek paths to God through that joy which is priceless in the world of satanic worship of money. Pure joy which does not have any mercenary basis, that is the ray of the Lord illuminating the soul. Honor your God, having experienced the joy which does not give anything to the body, but only to the soul, and you will step onto the path which will bring you to Him. Here is a parable about it. A huge beech had grown in a grove, and the Lord heard the mighty beech suffering from anguish. People were cutting down its trunk for their needs. And the Lord consoled the beech. The people have prepared a good fate for you. You will serve them for many centuries. But I would like to serve you, my Lord, the beech sighed. And the Lord replied, there will be more benefits for me from your life if people enjoy the things made from you, rather than you decay as an unknown tree which had fallen to the ground of old age or become a faceless victim of a hurricane. The moral of the parable is that human life has a great meaning if it gives the light and kind love to other people. A life aimed only at satisfying oneself is worthless to the Lord, for it carries away the spark of the Lord's light, which the soul should stoke up to a blaze. Ignite a spark in yourself first, and you will live your life not in vain. It will not be easy, but in return you will gain knowledge and be able to identify clear goals. And the very existence of an elevated goal in life makes man happy. The pleasures of an earthly life are nothing compared to what awaits him at the end of the way, once he has directed all his efforts to achieve this goal. I am talking about the acquisition of the Lord's wisdom, which is given to the one who applied the best of one's abilities to fulfill one's vital function. Let patience, mental strength, and God's help be with you along the way.